Today we're here to test a new chair, namely the FlexiSpot chair, which has been offered to me by the manufacturer for me to publish this review. Welcome, I'm Olivier, Girard, economist, posture therapist, author of the Posture Manual and creator of the Posture Academy. This video will be for me the opportunity to reinforce the message that you should not buy a chair before testing it. But before we come on to this conclusion, let's review the features, then I sit on it, then I tell you how I feel on the chair, and then we review what should be improved for the chair to be better. The traditional function first. You have on the right hand the height adjustment. You have the seat pan sliding function, and you have here the tilt function. You can let the backrest tilt or block it. Yeah, this moves, but you can't adjust the resistance. What you can do though is play with the height of the backrest. You see that you can also play with the height of the headrest, and there's a double hinge joint here and there, which is meant to adjust it in depth and in angle. The armrests are extremely adjustable. They're adjustable in height, and you have some kind of a double lever system here, which makes that you really can do anything you want with these armrests. Last function, which I hadn't seen on any other chair previously, is this here leg rest, which you can adjust in position, say horizontal position. The chair is a heavy baby. When I got the box at home, it was 29 kilograms. So in order to bring it upstairs, I had to apply the techniques that I teach to my clients. I had to assemble it on my own, which was okay. No, not so easy. It's better to do with two people, but you can do it alone. Now, let's dive into the real subject and sit on the chair. Well, you see, there are different issues I have with this chair. The number one problem is, look, I barely touch the ground, and I have pressure here behind my knee fold, while the seat pan depth is at the minimum and the height is at the minimum also. That was quite intriguing because I'm 1.73 m total height, and that places me in the exact 50% of the European population. So I sent a mail to the manufacturer asking, well, who is the chair meant for? Answer was people between 170 and 190, which is something that, as you can see, I won't agree too much on. I would say below 180, the seat pan will be too deep, although there is no direct, proportionality between your total height and your thigh length. But let's say that you need a thigh length which is way above the average population for being able to sit on this chair. To make sure, I asked my 1.90 m friend to sit on the chair, and you see that he has space behind the knee fold, but it's not enormous. Same with the height of the chair. Of course, I know that I'm barefoot and that, I would be probably feeling like 2 centimeters lower if I would wear my work shoes, but still, I cannot lower the chair as much as I would like, and that means that this chair is not for at least the 60% smallest percentile of the population. Okay, now let's shift to the second problem. My second problem is the following. Here, you see, if I would be able to sit deep enough in the chair, which forces me now to spread my legs, well, I could live with that lumbar support. I find it a bit aggressive, we're going to come back to that, but somehow it supports me. However, you see how much space I have behind my shoulder blades. This is a chair for, people who know how to sit in some way, even worse than on my knaps. And that was for me a big interrogation. So I asked the manufacturer, okay, can you tell me more about the underlying idea behind this chair? And the manufacturer answered that this was a chair which was meant to slightly recline, because supposedly when you recline, you have decreased pressure on the back. We're going to come back to that argument, which I don't agree with. But you see, when I recline, including with the leg rest, which isn't greatly adjusted, it's okay, now I feel that my back hollows a lot. And why is that? Well, because of two factors. Factor number one is the distance between the front part of the lumbar support and the rear part where my shoulder blades go. And factor number two is the radius that you have here. And you see, to kind of objectivize all that, I have compared the three chairs that I have here. The D1 dimension is between the rear part of the backrest and the front part of the lumbar support, and the D2 is front part of the lumbar support to front part of the seat pan. And you see that all the other chairs I have much less space here, including the canards. The result is that when your lower back is supported and you want to recline with your shoulder blades, well, you feel that the lumbar support pushes your pelvis forward whilst you're trying to go in the other way around. Of course, and probably that is the reason why it's here, this part should move back under the effect of your weight so as to reduce that feeling. But number one, as I told you, this part, despite the fact that its mesh is rather aggressive, secondly, it's not built with an adjustable spring. So, you know, my 62 kilos don't bend that lower part of the lumbar support. So here, in my opinion, there is a combination of two things, which is one, the chair is built too aggressively with respect to D1 and the radius of the lumbar support, and two, it is meant for not only tall but heavy people, because people who are not so heavy will not manage to get that in movement. So you see, at this stage, I would say with some design adjustments, namely shortening the seat depth, increasing the radius here, decreasing the distance there, weakening or adjusting the spring resistance of that movable lumbar support, we could discuss whether the chair can be improved so as to support the original concept, which is to recline. But still, I want to, conclude on what I think about the reclining concept. It is true that the more you recline, the less pressure there is on your lower back. That has been shown in studies. But what is the context of these studies? The context of these studies is people who are well supported from the lower back to the head, so that doesn't apply to you if you don't have an extremely adjustable headrest on your chair that supports you exactly where your head is. And number two, these studies are made with people who are like this, not with people who are like that. Yeah? There's a completely different impact on your lower back tissues when you try to reach forward or when you relaxed with your hands. And we can do this in a very visual way. You see, when I'm here and I move back, I go further away from my keyboard, meaning that I will have to reach further for it, which will have an impact on the neck and shoulder tissues, which is the reason why I need extremely adjustable armrests, which are present here. But then my forearms are locked and the whole workload comes onto my wrist. Now, second test to understand why we're not meant to work forward with the back going into the other direction. Stand, like I often say, stand like a bouncer with your back behind you and try to reach something forward. You see that your lower back screams, it contracts. Now, let's do the other way around. You do what I call the penguin test, meaning you just do the penguin with your arms and you shift your pelvis back until your arms can cross freely in front of your hip joint. And when you do this, no more pressure in your lower back. So you see, standing as well as sitting, our pelvis is meant to be the most rearward point of the body, with the torso slightly forward, exactly like your kids do until you have messed up their mind. Now, it is perfectly true that there are two reasons why on the field we can consider reclining backward. Reason number one is you don't want to learn how to sit properly, and therefore you really insist on having your shoulders back. Well, with all the design changes that I suggested, that chair could do the job. Number two, I had this recently. From time to time, finance guys have 4 to 6 screens, i.e. there's a second line of screen above the first one. And if you sit like this and look at the upper line of the screens, you're going to do that. If you want to avoid messing up your neck, well, reclining is a good alternative because indeed it shifts your line of sight upwards. But the thing is, the screen up there should not be screens on which you spend a lot of time. So I would not say that it should be the main function of the chair to hold you like this, with some exception depending on the type of job you have, meaning if you don't manage to have the whole information that you need on one line of screens. But these are extremely specific situations. Third issue that I have is the adjustability of the backrest. Normally, when you adjust such a backrest system, it goes click, 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 and when you reach the last position, boom, moves down. Look, with that one, here I went through 2 clicks, now again through clicks without any, block, and here I don't manage to bring it down, I have to force, and again I don't manage to go smoothly from one click to the other. I go through different positions which are unstable. You see, it moves down by itself, whereas it's not at the top. So that mechanism is either broken on my chair or not reliable. So cut a long story short, there are a lot of interesting features on this chair, including the incredible armrests. These are really, really, really probably among the best that I've ever seen. But there is something wrong in the backrest design, which creates a lot of discomfort, as well as, for me, as a short person, discomfort behind my knee folds because of the front edge of the seat pan, especially as you see a stitching line here. It would be better if the chair is rounded and the stitches are underneath. So, at this stage, I would say that chair needs a bit of redesign, shorten the seat depth, increase the radius here, decrease the distance there, improve the backrest height adjust mechanism, and with all these modifications, then I would be happy to test it again to see where we are.